Okay, good afternoon. After a long time, actually, uh, in our early video, the previous video, I have mentioned about the fundamental basic features of the basic features of a Westminster model of government, or a kind of actually the British oriented, the Westminster model of government. So in this video, I thought of discussing about the extent to which these features were available in solbury government reforms. Actually, the Westminster model of government mean the government system that has been practiced in Great Britain, and as we discussed there, the Parliament is the most supreme institution in a Westminster model of government. Then Parliament has supreme powers, Parliament sovereignty in lawmaking in a Westminster model of government. But when it comes to Solbury Constitution introduced by the British, this Parliament sovereignty was not there. It was not available there because due to several factors, the Parliament's lawmaking powers were restricted. For example, the first and foremost factor which restricted the lawmaking powers of the Salisbury Parliament was Article 29(2). This article says that the Salisbury Parliament has no powers to make laws that impose some restrictions on a particular ethnic or religious group. The laws that provide some special privileges for one ethnic or religious group, discriminating the other, the same kind of a group, and also a particular law that restrict some privileges of one or a particular ethnic or religious group. And the Salisbury Parliament also cannot make laws for change in the constitution of a particular religious institution. So due to all these things, this parliament was not like the British Parliament, because British Parliament did not have this kind of restrictions, limitations on lawmaking. It had powers to make any laws on any matter, but the Salisbury Parliament's lawmaking powers were highly restricted. Therefore, we can't say that the Salisbury Parliament was the institution with the Parliament sovereignty. Then the other difference between British Parliament and the Salisbury Parliament was that, in Great Britain, the Parliament, once it make laws, no judicial institutions had powers to question its constitutionality or legality. But when it comes to Salisbury Parliament, this power was not there to the Salisbury Parliament, because the Constitution had not directly mentioned about the judicial review power of the Supreme Court, but indirectly it has empowered the Supreme Court to check the constitutionality of the laws made by the Salisbury Parliament. Actually, there was a case on a sabotage or a conspiracy against the government in 1960. There, the Supreme Court says that the Constitution implied or indirectly has given some powers for the Supreme Court to check the constitution of the laws made by the Salisbury Parliament. So which means that is also totally a kind of a difference between British Parliament and British government system and Salisbury government system. Then the other thing is that, British Parliament or in the British government system, actually the institutions which is known as the Parliament had has two houses. We call it House of Representatives and the House of Lords. But here in Sri Lanka, the two houses are known as House of Representatives and the Senate. Senate. That is also kind of a difference. Then Great Britain does not have a written constitution. Though it has a constitution, actually it is not a codified one document. It has not been codified into one document. Therefore, a single book called Constitution is not there in the British, in England or Great Britain. So instead of that, what they have is only a some kind of article, some historically signed conventions, agreements, and various other acts. Those are, for example, Magna Carta Treaty, the Bill of Settlements, Bill of Rights, and Parliament Bills. These are known as the parts of British Constitution. So they don't have a one particular written document which is known as the Constitution. But when it comes to Sri Lanka, under Solbury, we had a written document called Constitution. And also the British Constitution is very famous to be a kind of a flexible constitution. So any amendment, any provisions of the Constitution can be changed according to the needs with the simple majority. But Solbury Constitution was not that much flexible because the provisions of it could not be changed anytime with a simple majority as anyone wants. So those are the other differences. And when it comes to the Solbury British Constitution, there were some other differences because the nominal executive in Great Britain was the Queen or the King, but in Sri Lanka, her representative known as Governor General was functioning as the nominal executive in this country. And the party system, if you take, in Great Britain, there is a two-party systems, but in Sri Lanka, a dominant two-party system had been existing even during this Solbury period. So these are actually some of the differences between the British government system and Sri Lankan government system under Solbury constitutions. Okay, so next we will meet with another salient features of this kind of constitutions. And also I must remind you that I have an English channel, so you can subscribe that one also by going to the link that we are providing in this channel. Okay, everyone.